All right, welcome back, everyone. This is season 4, episode 100. This is a bit of a milestone episode today. And thanks to our listeners for all the seasons we've had. I kind of put a poll out a few months ago and saying, who should I have on the show that would be just an amazing guest for season 4 opener? And all the responses back were my family. So today, I get the chance to have an interview with my family, which is like, not just a milestone for the podcast, but what an opportunity for a father, a husband to be able to sit down and ask some interesting, different questions, I guess you could say, for the fire service and my journey through that. So today I got my beautiful wife of over 30 years, which is pretty awesome. So my partner of the last 30 years plus, and my 2 amazing adult children, as well as my dog Murph in the background. So I think I have the best guest that I've had on the podcast to date on the air today. So welcome to the show.
It's time to ignite your soul and unlock your full potential. Join us on Beneath the Helmet, the podcast exploring firefighters' health and wellness. Hosted by retired Fire Chief Arjuna George, our podcast is the perfect place to start your journey towards becoming the best version of yourself. So come on, let's join the conversation and find out what sets your soul on fire.
So welcome to the show. Quick introduction. Cathy, my wife, please share a little bit about you to the audience.
Awesome. My name is Cathy. I am, like you said, Arjuna's wife. We have been together for more than 30 years, married 30 years. And I am 5th generation to Salt Spring, which is where we live and raised our beautiful family. And yeah, I'm excited to be here today.
So honored. My eldest son, Billy.
Eldest and only.
Yes, that's true.
Hi, everyone. I'm Billy. I'm 29 years old. Grew up on Salt Spring whole life and currently living in Victoria, BC. Fun little tidbit, getting married in the summer, 2026. Looking forward to it.
Excited. So excited for that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Thanks, Bill. And my daughter, Monica.
Didn't say only daughter. We're eldest. Youngest.
Again, youngest, yes.
Hello, I'm Monica. I am 28 years old. I'm still living on Salt Spring. I've never moved anywhere, but I've done a lot of traveling in the last 10 years or whatever since graduating high school. And yeah, I love to call Salt Spring my home.
Love it. Love it. So for all the listeners that are just joining in, I'm your host, Arjuna George, a father, a husband, but also a former fire chief turned podcaster, author, and now coach to the fire service. So let's join this episode, and this might be an extra long episode, and it might even be a part 2 episode, so stay tuned for that. So I want to kind of start off with my kids. Did either of you ever consider joining public safety, fire service, paramedic, police, anything like that? Anybody there?
I definitely thought about being a paramedic at one point. Yeah, just chatting with Dad about his experiences and all the gore never really freaked me out. It was kind of exciting for me, and I've always liked helping people, and I thought massage therapy, but then at one point I was like, wait, if people need help in a car crash or they fell down the stairs, that could be just as rewarding as nice peace and calming massage. But yeah, I didn't go that route, just living on a small island of Salt Spring. I think the nerves of seeing someone I knew and loved in that dangerous or unsafe position wasn't something that I was prepared to do.
That still be on your radar if you moved or something changed, or is it off the plate?
I think it would be in more of a, like, if there was a natural disaster or something, I think I could step up in that position, but I don't think as a career.
Nice. Beautiful. How about you, Bill?
I think for me, that was more appealing when I was younger. Seeing, like, as Monica and I we got involved in a lot of the fire hall events and things like that, and it was so fun and seeing you guys and your camaraderie and all that. But I think when I got older, I would see, what that actually meant. outside of those events. And it's not, the sun is not always shining in that field. I think it just felt a little too like close to home to be as interested
Totally.
to pursue.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and a little secret of mine is I'm kind of happy you're not, just to be able to do your own things versus following your dad's footsteps, right? So I'm happy that you've chosen your own path, and I love that for that. So I guess another question for both the kids: were there times that you were scared or worried about my safety or me as a person, or just even, you keep hearing fire, fire, fire? Was there times that you're like, is the whole world on fire? Are we always going to catch on fire? Are our clothes always going to catch on fire? Was it a little too much sometimes, or did you ever feel the opposite? I'll go to either one of you, Bill or Monica.
I'll hop in first.
Sure.
I always thought I'd have to stop, drop, and roll more in my life.
Yeah,
That's for sure. Touch wood, I haven't had to use that one yet.
totally.
But days with Sparky at the fire hall and going through all those practices, I don't know. I guess it did. It's better to be prepared, but it did instill a little bit of like, geez, this is going to happen any day now. That was just the first thought that popped into my head.
To go off that, I feel like it was, I mean, you guys were all so well trained, and luckily never, like, nothing went too badly in those situations. So that we heard of, at least. So it was kind of a, oh, there's a fire. Oh, but we had it under control. Everything's fine. So it was like, sure, this is happening, but this is Dad's job, and that's why he goes to work, and he clears up this trouble. And we were so prepared as kids. We learned, like Billy was saying, is from Sparky and from Dad, and like to touch the door before you leave the room, or to make sure your smoke detectors are working and you have enough smoke detectors in your new house that you just bought. All that kind of.
I was a bit of a hound on that, wasn't I?
Sure were.
Awesome. Thank you
And
so
I
much.
would also add, I think what you're saying, like the time that we felt scared or something about it, I think the closest I felt to that was like peak COVID or early COVID, because I was living with you guys at that point. And there's so much uncertainty and so many things that we didn't know at the time of like what that meant and the risks of that. And you guys being first responders, it didn't change anything, right? You still had to complete your duties and help people out wherever it is needed, right? So it felt a little weird. And then having you come home and being like, we're also unsure, like, oh, did anyone you help today have COVID, or what should we be doing? Should we be in the other end of the house, or just things like that? That felt the most like real, or like that it was getting brought home kind of thing.
That was a great example. Yeah, it was freaky for us as well. Like we had no clue really what was, in the early days of COVID, we all thought the world was going to end essentially. Like we were seeing body bags on the news every night. It's like, what is going on in this world, right? So there's plenty of times we were going on calls. It's like, are we all going to get COVID going to this call? Like, what is going on? So yeah, in the early days, it was very, very freaky, even for us, for sure, even though we're prepared, but kind of a foreign thing for us, right? How about you, Cathy? Was there ever a time that you were kind of scared or worried or concerned as my partner?
And yeah, I think for me, I did hear the pager, and I'd only get the little beginning of what the call might be, and then you would leave the room, and then you'd leave the house, and then I'd be like, what now, what? And it could have been anything from a first responder call to a car accident to a house fire to a worse scenario. And living on a small island with, as the kids grew up, and I had younger siblings as well, I never knew, I thought maybe I could know who it was or not. So there was a lot of times where you leaving the house, not knowing what you were going to, not knowing how long you were going to be, if you were okay, if you needed help in any other way, what could I do? How could I support? And and knowing you were going to come home, especially once 9/11 happened. There was so many weird things going on in the world, and having two young kids at home, trying to make sure that I could be that person for them with you uncertain of what you were dealing with and what you were going to come home from. So I definitely had nervous times and scared times for you and your scenario you were in. But then also learned to try and support you as best I could through it.
Well, you did an amazing job, but I'm curious what you did for yourself to be able to show up for me and the kids. Was there anything that you did that you can kind of think back on now? I was like, oh, that really worked well.
Well, I don't know. Well, for myself, Tuesday night popcorn and fend for yourself dinner, that was a
Classic.
huge my thing. Once the kids are old enough to make their own dinner, whether that be cereal and milk or yogurt or
Host.
I don't know, a Nutri-Grain. At that point, it didn't matter to me where I needed some kind of quiet mom time as Tuesday night fire practice you would go to, and my self-care time came in after in that evening where I would either have a bath and the kids knew the rules. They were only allowed to knock if they were bleeding or something was really wrong. And otherwise, mom needed a few minutes and popcorn for dinner. And that was my main kind of source of my relaxation time because otherwise I needed to be available or felt like I wanted to be available 24/7 for the kids for anything that they needed to take that pressure off of you. When you were on call and on duty, 5 to 7 days a week in the beginning, it was pretty hectic for a few years there. So,
And that was almost 25 years of Tuesday popcorn night.
yeah.
That's the downside of retirement, right? I'm home and
Yeah.
you don't get that opportunity now.
No, you're always home. It's lovely.
Thanks so much. So Bill, Monica's loving that one. Actually, I'll start with Monica. No, she's laughing too much. I'll come back to Bill. So Bill, what was your kind of earliest kind of memory being a fire hall kid? And that's kind of how I'll frame it, because growing up in the fire hall, especially from like pretty much like birth to becoming an adult, you were kind of connected to the fire service versus later, if I was joining and you were in high school or something. So you really grew up in the fire department. Fondest or earliest memories?
Yeah. I really can't remember how old I was, but I have this vivid memory of this is back in the trailer, and I was sitting on mom's lap we had like that rocking chair in the living room, or like lazy boy kind of thing. And you came, it was really late, and so I was like starting to wind down. I think we were reading a story or something, and you came in and you said, "I got it." Like, it was the first words, and so I'm trying to remember what exactly that meant. I mean, I was super young, so that's probably why I can't remember, but it was something about you either got would that have been when you got your
Probably a
full
career
time?
job.
Yeah,
Probably full-time.
career, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that must have been that, and because you came in and the first thing you said was, "I did quit." It wasn't like "Hey, hello, how you doing?" It was,
Yeah.
"I got it." Something happened,
Yeah.
and you're not as a kid, you're not up to date on the parental interviews like that, all that stuff. So to hear that you got it was like awesome. Yeah, but that's kind of a funny, somewhat random memory. I think the ones that really are with me though, like easily retrievable, would be early day like fireman picnics, and those were just a blast. And being able to run around and meet a whole new group of friends that you might not otherwise have. And too, like, I think it helped Monica and I build like communication skills with adults too, because while there were, everybody's parents work with someone, but I think those settings helped us actually engage, because all your colleagues would approach us and be like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like, we were, or at least I never felt dismissed as being a kid. So it was cool to, like, whether or not you really kept up a conversation, you at least worked on it. And you were able to talk to adults, whether it's about your school or how's your summer going, it just built a bit of confidence. Yeah.
I like that.
I thought that was pretty
That's-
cool.
Yeah, I think that's one of the key things that a lot of young adults don't have, is that skill, right? So that's cool that you picked that up and kind of ran with it. That's awesome. How about you, Monks?
Yeah, same kind of first memory was the fireman's picnic. It's the first thing that pops into your mind. I met one of my best childhood friends there through the fire hall, Taylor Lundy, and yeah, we were inseparable. Um, whether it was at those fireman picnics or the Easter egg hunts or like trying out the fire hoses just on some random summer weekend at the fire hall. And um, yeah, I just met some really great people there, and you still think about them like to this day, and you see them randomly, even people that you're not necessarily friends with. But I just ran into someone in the pub the other day, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we know each other from way back." Hadn't seen her in forever, but we just like instantly were like, "Yeah, how's it going? How's your parents? How's your family? All that jazz." So you just really make some good close connections with people that you may not have been super close with without that connection. And same goes for the adults as well. Like when me and Taylor Lundy would go over to the Enfield's house like every weekend, and I have some really great memories there as well, and just built-in family that yeah, you just had such a connection with and felt safe with.
Do you
Yeah.
feel it was a family with the fire department? Like, would you classify that as a family? Yeah. Yeah. Both of
For
you would.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Nice. So, Kathy, you weren't a young kid when I was in the fire service, but what was your kind of fondest memories of the fire service? My time in the fire service.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's really similar to a lot of the kids' experiences because watching them going through all of the different events and things was pretty cool. Like knowing that all of the hard work that you were doing and times that you missed and whatnot, the kids still got rewarded for it in some way, like they had the picnics, the Christmas parties, the Easter things, the different events, and um, so there was a lot of really good, fun memories. And I think, back to when the Easter hunt sort of started and bringing that to life, like it was a pretty cool moment to bring that, to take the time to do something more for families and get everybody involved. So it was a camaraderie of the firefighters, but also of the families, the spouses and the kids. And yeah, always feeling supported no matter what you were going through in your personal life or your work life or whatever else. There was always this group that was there.
I know we started the Easter egg hunt. Do you remember how or why we started it?
I don't recall exactly how. I remember I think it was just the thought of like, hey, we do something at Christmas, we do something in the summer. What else can we do to involve families and bring everybody together? And so Easter sort of was like a nice break of time between all of the other events that were going on. And there was a lot of young kids and families in the department at the time, how to kind of bring all those people together to have a different kind of support groups. And Hall 2 was a great little spot to have everybody kind of contained in the back little area. It was safe. It was a nice area for everybody to be. And yeah, I just think it was just trying to find another way to honor the families of the firefighters.
Oh, wait, you guys started it? You two?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you learn something every day. I didn't
As,
know,
as,
know
a,
that.
as a volunteer. So it was probably like year 2 or 3 as a volunteer.
I didn't know that either.
I was in charge of the entertainment committee, and that's where I started the Easter egg
Whoa.
hunt that's still going today, which is pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I had no idea. That's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. We hid the chocolate really well from you guys.
It was like in the middle of the night, we were packing little bags, helping the Easter bunny. Yeah.
Yeah. Literally.
So back to you, Kath. What stories do you still have from the fire service? Maybe your own personal stories or things you've seen about me that you still tell people today.
Stories about the fire service. I think one of the things that comes to mind is how hard you worked. Like how when you first joined, I was, I guess, 9 months pregnant or 8 months pregnant with Monica, had a 1-year-old with Billy. We were both working full time, and you decided you wanted to join the fire hall. You did want to the year before when Billy was just an infant, and I was like, okay, hold on, no, we got to push the brakes here. We we have a, little 4-month-old and we're both working. We can't quite do it. So I was able to hold you off for a year, and then you were determined, you really wanted to do it. And so we were like, hey, sure, let's make it happen. And then I didn't realize what I was signing up for, I think, too, because it was the reality of you you give 110% in everything you do. So you were away at courses. You were taking every course you could possibly take to better yourself, to further yourself, to make sure you were safe for us, for the community, for all of those things. So my initial first memory is, oh my goodness, like, what are we doing here with joining something that was taking so much time? But then the joy and pride that you got from entering into that realm was huge. And boom, you move through to get career, to get go through all the ranks. I still kind of bring it up in some ways of that you were on call 24/7 many weeks, like literally for the whole week, where you couldn't be alone with the kids. So it was a really tricky juggle. And how we did it, I really don't know, because, I was working still until I couldn't, basically. I think it was just after 9/11 happened where I was like, I can't continue to do that and be the supportive parent and partner. So unfortunately, the beginning kind of was not super great memories, more just the like, yeah,
Yes.
kind of almost block it out. So just being so busy to make it happen. And then, things got easier and you moved up the ranks and you proved yourself and continued to excel at every single thing you did. That was a proud feeling, I must say.
Oh, there we
Um,
go. Proud.
Throwing it out
Oh,
there.
you beat me to it.
Yeah.
I had that in my back pocket. Come on.
Oh, who wants to tell the story? Go ahead. Go
Oh.
ahead.
I think mom will have to, because for us it's more of the ongoing,
Comical.
like,
Yeah.
the running joke. We all get the same sentiment with it, but I think mom would be able to explain it a bit better.
All right, Mom, you're up.
Okay. I'm trying to remember where exactly you were.
A funeral in Winnipeg.
Winnipeg? Yes. And you were interviewed by a TV station of what it was like to be there walking and participating in this memorial service for a fallen firefighters. And you were starstruck or something. I'm not sure what happened, but you were saying how excited you were, happy to be there to support, and it was just a proud feeling. And that just keeps going now. We can't let it go. That was your feeling. You were just super proud.
That was the
My
news
memory
fix.
of it was a little bit more proud feeling.
Oh, a little stutter in there.
It was more of like, yeah, a double take. You were just extra proud. It was proud for
Proud.
proud.
Well, it was a
It's
somber
like
event.
a single word.
Yes. It was a somber event, but I was very proud to be there and kind of representing our department and the fire service. But yeah, marching through the streets of Winnipeg, it was like minus 30 something Celsius. It was very, very cold, but it was, yeah. And I traveled across the country to go do this thing. It was a proud moment.
And look at you now. You're so much better at public speaking.
I know. But that was 25 years later. Awesome. How about you, Monica? Was there any stories you still tell people today? Stick with you.
Oh, this one, I feel like I tell it and I start the story by saying, I'm not sure if this was a fever dream or if it was real. But mom tells
I know where
me
we're
that
going. Yeah.
would call 911 to try to talk to you.
Yep.
It was
Think
true.
that
It was true.
sounds.
Yep.
Hmm. So I tell my friends that one from time to time still, just saying, oh, well, when I was little and I wanted to tell my dad, I would just call 911. And then I got in trouble.
That doesn't sound too good, eh? I just want to talk to dad, so I'm going to call 911. jail or prison or something.
Yes, we had the police call the house to confirm that everything was okay, and I assured them they didn't have to send a unit to the house, but yeah, she just wanted to talk to her dad who was at work.
Classic. I love that moment.
That's good.
That was a good one, Monks. I'll start with Cathy again. What did you learn from the fire service, seeing, leadership, service, the sense of community, family, anything that kind of shaped your character or who you are today? Just kind of being part of the fire service at an arm's length.
Um, oh gosh, that's tricky. I think for me, it's emergency preparedness, is always kind of in the back of my head now through life and work and jobs and things like that. I know, memory that quickly comes to me is working at the high school in the office, and we'd have earthquake drills or fire drills, and it was my responsibility to get, the binders to make sure we had all the staff names and everything, and I took that responsibility very seriously and, wanted to make sure that we ran things well and, our earthquake things were ready and all these different parts of it, and moving to work at the school board office has been high on my list of being like, "Hey, what is our plan? What is the contingency?" And in my role in a different way, I'm always like, we're looking at accountability to where people are who might be in the building if the building, something was to go wrong. And, yeah, with staff absences and whatnot, I'm constantly, that's my reasoning for a lot of it too, is just to make sure that, are we looking for somebody in a building that's not there? Like, we're not putting more people in harm. So I think a lot of emergency preparedness and, accountability kind of pieces were something that I bring into my work life and home life for our family.
I can easily see you commanding a fire scene, no problem.
Oh, because I'm
Ability-
bossy or what?
No. Just accountability, structure, organization. Yeah, I could see that being a good thing for you. Maybe not the trauma side of things, but the
Yeah,
fire.
no, not at all.
Yeah.
No.
How about you, Monica? Anything that's kind of shaped your life? Seeing the, like I said, the leadership, the camaraderie, the sense of community, anything there?
I think going back to what Billy kind of mentioned earlier about talking to adults as if we weren't just little kids to them. I think a lot of our communication skills and just like how to have a proper conversation and respect and just making connections with people that you may not normally have talked to, or if someone shows interest or like has some sort of connection to you, to respond to them with genuine like curiosity and genuine like kindness, and respect, in the way of like, oh yeah, my dad, that's amazing, how are you doing, instead of like, oh cool, bye. I think
Oh.
that really helped just creating like a genuine communication with people who are older than you, or just totally separate to who you would normally talk to. And then also, I think going into like emergency or kind of like tense situations with a calm head. I think you and I have talked about this, Dad, about like if something goes wrong, like breathe, let's think logically, like what's the first step? Like I got in a car accident a few years ago now. And I remember hearing Dad's voice, like the moment that I like the truck had stopped and I was fine, I was like, okay, can I wiggle my toes? Can I wiggle my fingers? And am I bleeding? And I was like, oh, my dad is the one telling me this right now. Like, stay calm. If like I have to assess that everything is fine and then act. So it's kind of a small little thing, but
Oh,
it's
that's
like
a- yeah.
how to proactive.
Well, I think any firefighter listening right now is kind of hoping that something that they learn over the years will kind of instill in their family as well, right? Because there's so many golden nuggets in the fire service and in public safety that are good life lessons, not just for fire, right? So, and as a parent, it's pretty, it's a proud moment to, I'm going to use that lots now, to hear so many compliments, both of you guys, about how well you talk to adults. Like we hear it probably every other week, how amazing that you are. You're adults now, but even when you're in high school and middle school and elementary school, how you could talk to adults. And that was always a proud feeling for both of us that, we've raised two kids that can really communicate well. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. How about you, B?
Yeah, my first thoughts were, I feel like, like through high school or even, I guess, middle school on sports teams, I've always thought of myself as more of the leadership, taking over the leadership role on those teams. Like whether or not I was a captain or not, I think I still liked putting myself into that position. And I think that came from in a small community like Salt Spring, where we don't really have as influential of leaders. I've always kind of thought like the firefighting realm was, the kind of community representatives, or at least from our upbringing, right? Like we saw you guys in a lot of community roles as well, not just driving around in your trucks. You guys were, you had booths everywhere. You were always in the schools with demos and safety exercises, like all that stuff, right? Um, so I think in my mind that I kind of took some of that leadership, and like that drive to be a part of that. So I think, I think in school or like group projects, my classmates would probably say I was on the bossier side, but I think I like just having some direction and, having a bit of, I like being a part of that, the lead, whether that was in sports or.
You both excelled in that. You both excelled in leadership in different ways, right? So, and as we all know, leadership is pretty key in life. You don't have to be in the fire service or anything. It's just life it's a good skill to have, right? That's awesome, B. Thanks. I go to Kath. Is there anything that you kind of resented or struggled with in the early days or in the late days of the fire service that you now have maybe a clearer picture on, that a different view on that, but in the time you resented it or didn't enjoy it, but now have a different view of it? Anything there?
hmm So I think back to my point the earlier was that it took a lot of your time. It took a lot of your time and energy. That um, how many meetings or trainings or different things that you were involved in. So it took you away from the family quite a bit. So at times when it was really busy with two little kids and before they were in sports and then after when they were in different activities and whatnot, that a lot of it fell onto me, and I knew that that's what we signed up for and we agreed to. But I think the time commitment was kind of overwhelming at times, for sure. But looking back to, I mean, recognize all the time and energy that you put into it was only to give to the role and to progress to where you did. And you wouldn't have been potentially as, successful and respected and able to get to where you got to help as many people as you could and to be the leader that you were without you having that time. And so I definitely think that there was, missed times and missed opportunities of things, but at the same time, for the better good of looking back now, it's like, I mean, we made it through. We did fine with it, but I think that there was a lot of give, I guess, maybe is kind of how it built.
Sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty key to the listeners right now is like, what would you say to the listener who's listening right now of how to have that conversation with your partner about joining the fire service? Anything, little nugget there?
Yeah, I think that it's just realizing how much that they're going to be giving, so they're doing it for all the right reasons and whatnot, and coming up with a system that works. So we definitely tried different things over the years, and one of the things was when you arrived home from work, you said hi to everybody, the kids and me, and Dad's going to have 20 minutes to half an hour to change, shower, have a few minutes to regroup, and then you were way more present to come in. So to the family unit at the time. So finding different strategies that worked for your situation, whatever it is, early on will help everybody adapt a bit better. Later on in your journey in our relationship, we were able to go away, a little bit more. So if it was once a month for a night away somewhere, but if it could have just been even going out for dinner or doing something, but we did sometimes go away for a night, and finding those ways to reconnect with each other as well as with the family, the kids and us, that are important, and take the time to do them, because it's going to be busy, but you still need to keep each other connected to everybody's relationship.
And that's a job in itself, is trying to stay connected, right? So you got to put the effort in.
Yeah.
How about you kids? Do you remember mom establishing a boundary of kind of like, when I come home, I'm decompressing, or were you too young? Or do you remember that?
I don't personally remember that being, like, verbalized. Like, "Oh, I know that you saw dad walk in, but let's not." I think it was more just like became routine, that you knew that just because dad was home, it didn't mean that he had the time to, like, sit down and, like, play your game with you. Like, sometimes he was in and out pretty quick, and or, if he's home and then he gets a call, he's leaving again. So it's not like, just because, it's not like a classic 5 o'clock, they're home from work for the night until the morning type thing. But I don't remember that as like a dad's home and he needs 20 minutes before he can say hello or like really interact. It was more of just like don't like, even though he's home, it doesn't mean he's going to be able to watch a full movie with you now. But that was also just kind of the norm, was we made what we could out of the time that we did have with him at night before he got on a call or that kind of stuff. It just changed the amount of time that we knew that we had in the day with him when he wasn't at work.
Good job, Kath, for making the culture without having to necessarily say it, right? So how about you, B? Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was going to be my exact comment of what you just said, Dad. I think you guys obviously made that understood without directly telling us. Whether, I don't know how you did it. You tricked us. Whether maybe when we were younger, you distracted us or something when he walked in, I'm not sure. And then, yeah, I don't know. But I think looking back at it now, I think it helps it makes sense why maybe we have better boundaries or had better boundaries than maybe some other kids do with their parents. We were over time, I guess, able to understand that they needed this space or that time to regroup, feel rejuvenated before pounding them with playtime and all that. But yeah, I think that was one of those ones that you slipped past us without us even realizing.
Are we going to talk about the Easter Bunny now, or cat's out of the bag?
Well, I wanted to actually go back to that after you saying you were helping the Easter Bunny out. I thought that was a little odd. Yeah.
Yeah, let's help him. He's a nice guy. So was there any challenging, this is more when you guys were older, challenging times as teenagers to have a dad that was a fire chief or a chief officer? You're driving now, you're going to parties, there's bonfires. Was there any times that you're like, you just didn't enjoy that your dad was in the fire service? Or did that never come up for you?
It was never the fact that I wish my dad wasn't a firefighter right now. But I've definitely, like, I went to bonfires, or like I had like guilty myself of overloading and being like, oh no, like my dad is gonna find out if I do this thing, because there's police officers and firefighters, they must talk to each other. Or like at a bonfire being like, oh no, I hope my dad isn't the one who's in the truck when they get called because I'm doing something I shouldn't be. But that was never like I wish my dad wasn't this. It was always just kind of a thought in the back of your mind being like, oh, like, I hope he doesn't associate me with these people just because I'm here.
And that was always my thought. I was like, the kids have to not necessarily resent, but feel a little like, oh, dad's a firefighter. He's going to know what I'm up to as a teenager, right? So
I think the funny thing that I was thinking about earlier is I was in another car accident actually. And
Maybe I should teach you how to drive.
hey, I wasn't driving in this one. I was a passenger in this one. Right outside of the high school. Um, it was a wet road and silly driving from someone, and went into a pole. And my immediate reaction was, crap. My dad's going to get this call. I better call him and let him know it's me. And that's exactly what I did.
Very good.
Um,
That was awesome. And, set aside the car accident, it was like having that phone call from your daughter that everything's okay. That's what every parent wants to hear, right? So, yeah, beautiful. How about you? Be anything there?
Yeah, I mean, just like what Monica was saying, that I kind of thought in the back of your mind, but yeah, again, nothing that is like, oh God, I wish he wasn't doing this, or any kind of resentment for what you did as a career. But yeah, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't in the back of your mind still. Yeah, when
sure.
you were either doing something maybe you shouldn't be, or if your friends are having a fire, or like fireworks and things like that, where you're always like, maybe I shouldn't be doing that, but like, is that my dad talking, or is that what I think too? But
Yeah. Well, as a parent, it was the scariest moment when you guys got your licenses, because every car accident we heard on our pagers, car accident, blah, 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 address. First thing we both looked at each other was like, where's the kids? Where are the kids? What are they doing? What are they, sometimes we text, sometimes we just wait. But that was I would say the most scared I ever was through the whole fire service career, was your driving years, especially your young driving years, and then you're going to parties driving. So there's, drugs and alcohol and all that stuff. It's like, that was a freaky time as a firefighter responding, because we heard every single bad call that was going on the island. We got the notification of it, and then I had to sit there in the dark sometimes of like, oh, who is this? Pretty freaky, pretty freaky. Monica?
I remember, I still think about it to this day too. We started a roll call on our family chat every time that we would hear about a car accident, because we all live on the same kind of area of the island, and or near, or we know, oh, this person's off at 4 o'clock and that's where they work. And oh, we heard there's a crash at this area or whatever. Our family did a roll call text to be like, yep, safe, locked in, not me.
A great tip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sure made our lives a lot better when that started to happen, for sure. Just knowing it. You don't have to know where they are. It's just knowing that they're alive. That's huge, right? So, yeah, thank you. So this is to all of you, but what do you think people need to understand a little bit more about the human side of being a first responder, a firefighter? Is there anything that comes to mind of like the general public, unless they're involved in the fire service somehow, they don't understand the human side of it? And when I say human side, is like the side that's not the rough and tough firefighter, not the fire chief, the leader, but more the human aspect of it. Anything that comes up to you?
I think there is a bit of a stigma growing up about therapy. I personally haven't had any kind of trauma related to that, kind of the medical field that I would go to therapy for. But I do think growing up, even like I'm 28 now, and probably in the last 10 years or so, it was taboo to say that you were going to a therapist, or that you felt the need to talk to somebody, or like to actively not talk to your friends about it because you were nervous or you didn't want to seem vulnerable or anything like that. But I think just therapy is such a great outlet that should definitely be used more, and not frowned upon or not hidden from people. I think it's very healthy, and it's a very, very good outlet for things like that. And people who do have to be in those positions and like go to those calls and things like that. You're not weak or soft for feeling like you want to reach out to that.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I think one thing that comes to mind is that talking about the human side is people don't always, especially in a small community, people look at the dollar signs being like, the department's spending too much money. They're getting all these fancy trucks. They have too many pay people, they have, whatever bells and whistles that they have. But until they need them, they they don't recognize what they're doing and how much time, energy, all of the things that they are putting into their roles, whether it be a paid on call all the way up to the chief, um, of what they're doing on a daily basis to prepare themselves for being there for somebody's worst day, right? And whatever their worst day can be, very small or very big, and um, there is just an easy out to complain about things as opposed to looking at it from like, hey, somebody is doing this. Like, I know I would never be able to do it. I mean, we all know that. That's just not my nature to do those kinds of roles that you guys have done for all these years. But thank goodness that there's people out there that are willing to and want to and are able to do those things. So turning around the conversation instead of it being that, look at what they're doing. They're taking all of this money and wasting it in their eyes. Yeah, but you don't understand what they're doing on a daily basis to prepare themselves to be there for that moment that you require them, or somebody you're close to or family member needs something. They'll leave their families. They'll leave any different thing they're going through, Christmas morning, a birthday, a family event, to be there for you. So it's just trying to make people recognize that they're all very selfless people, and they're all human too, trying to do their best.
Thank you.
I think my thoughts would be kind of going with what Mom was saying, that in a small community it's much more noticeable, but the amount of medical calls and that like pain and suffering that you guys witness in those types of calls compared to, you're not firefighters who just fight fires. Like what you're saying about the big, strong firemen, like there's the human side where you're helping people in a very critical and desperate time. And some of the things that you might encounter, it could be a lot more damaging to you, to a human and their psyche and all of that, compared to, obviously a very scary situation too of fighting a fire. But I think that, like, you guys are first responders here. You don't just go to fires. So I think something like that, people I think they really underestimate it, the amount of other work that you guys do.
Yeah. There's so much trauma that we see, and, a lot of people don't see after the sun goes down. Even small little towns become different areas when the sun goes down, right? And the stuff that happens in our communities that we don't even recognize as general public, first responders witness that firsthand, right? So thank you. So I'll start with Kath. What did our family do well despite all the challenges that we had of going through the fire? So, like, what were some things that you would like to share with our listener today of some of the things that worked well to help us function as a family? Anything else besides the boundaries? I think is an excellent one to share. Anything else comes to mind?
I think that we were always really clear and communicative. Like, our kids, it always felt like they could tell us a lot, right? Like they could talk to us. We were always there and available. And we took the time to be together as a family. There were definitely times where one of us had one of the kids off in, like, I recall Vancouver for basketball, and the other one was in Nanaimo for volleyball. And we crossed ferries so we could each go and watch the other one. And then the other one went to Vancouver, the other one went to Nanaimo. We really took the time to participate in each other's lives. And I think that's key, like, is really finding ways of connection and taking the time to, whatever it might be, even if it's just sitting down once a week for dinner together, or taking a day trip to Victoria or something, but like finding those moments to just be all together and enjoy that time is really important to, just keep the open communication and connectedness to each other.
Well, thank you. Is there any lessons, Bill or Monica, that you would like to share with the audience today of how families can function having a first responder in their life? Is there anything that comes to mind of what, is there something that pops in your mind of how it worked for us?
I think it's just kind of piggybacking off what mom just said is just like soak in every moment that you can. Like, even if it's just as simple as eating dinner at the table together, like a lot of families don't even get that. So
Sure.
I guess not being, yeah, like your life is going to look different, but as in they're not everyone's home every single night. And then you have weekends off together where there's just anything you could do all day, whatever. Things are going to look different. So just don't take that time for granted when you do have it. And also not to dwell on the times that you don't get anymore. Like if we were at a birthday party or something and dad had to leave, it was sad, but it's not like, oh, I'm gonna cry and make a big scene so that my dad doesn't have to go to work. It's like it was an understanding that we'll get this time back and we'll do something to make up for it and, support there as well.
Would say we did a pretty good job of making up lost time as a family. Like, I think when there was times that I was away or we were just too busy because we were both working, we seemed to always make time to make up that time in a special way. That's one thing I'm proud about of our family dynamics of that for sure. How about you, B? Anything that comes up?
Yeah. To add to that, I would have said that keeping busy can help too. Yeah. Like, or at least for Monica and I, we had, whether it was practices or she had dance class or, things like that. Like, it wasn't, there weren't many nights where we were sitting there like in an empty house or, right. But so when we were also keeping busy, we would understand the responsibilities and stuff that we had too. And so, dad was working and so he had the things that he had to do and his responsibilities, and whether that be 11 p.m. or, the crack of dawn or all day, he's doing his thing. And so I think when we have our obligations and stuff like that with teams or, whatever, we have a bit of a better appreciation for that. And then, so when we're busy, we're doing our own thing, but then when we are all together, like Monica said, we definitely make up for lost time. And so there were also no memories of like never seeing each other. Right? We're all we're a very close family. And to mom, I think that goes with our communication as well.
100%.
I think it's all intertwined.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and there was very few times, I was very fortunate that I did not miss one single Christmas. I missed a Christmas Eve, and I left Cathy at home trying to build a kitchen for Monica's for the next morning, a big play plastic kitchen, and went and fought a structure fire on somebody's worst night just before Christmas, right? So, but I think Bill has a little story about how Christmas was for him, knowing who was covering my end of things. Want to share that?
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. There weren't many or any Christmases I remember where you weren't there or had to get pulled away. And it wasn't until only even a few years ago where I found out it was because of one of your colleagues that stepped up and covered for you. Shout out Mike Bartle. Thank you for that. He was able to give us a lot of memorable Christmases by covering for you, on very important days, especially when you have young kids or a young family. You only get so many Christmases at that age, right? So it's very important to all be together, and so he was able to help us out with that. So it was one of those ones where it really went underappreciated, at least from my perspective, because I wasn't aware of that. I thought we just got the luck of the draw, or the pages were quiet that night, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely a big thank you.
For sure. 100%. Yep. Shout out Mike Bartle. So let's switch over to a more kind of recent experience of going through burnout. So were you, any of you, were you surprised when I took a stress leave? and eventually, obviously, retired at an early age. Was that a surprise to any of you, or was that you could see the writing on the wall?
I was definitely shocked.
Yeah.
I think in the moment, I remember you telling me, um, and I was definitely shocked because, you know, that was during a time when, again, there was a lot of crazy stuff going on.
2020.
2020, exactly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of stuff going on, high stress levels for sure. So I guess looking back on it, it makes a lot more sense. But I still wouldn't say there was any like glaring red flags that
Mm.
that I could have picked up on. But I do think it makes sense with everything else that was going on in the world and in our community. But yeah, I was definitely shocked. Definitely.
How about retiring? Did you think I was going to go back after I was there, or did you think, oh, this is it for Dad?
Well, I thought you would maybe go back when you first told me, like maybe a few months down the road, or 6 months, or a year even. But I think again, because I was living here, so I got to see you a lot and kind of see where you were at in life, and um, I guess I could see it became more clear that you weren't going to go back. But again, I think when you first told me, I was like, okay, this is just a shorter term thing. But then, yeah, I think I would say after about 6 months, so maybe that like holiday season hit, because that was what, March?
June,
Yeah,
you
June, yeah.
officially took the time off. Yeah.
Right, okay. So yeah, I guess the end of that year, end of 2020, is kind of where I made the assumption that you weren't going to go back.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I think same. Initially, I was a bit shocked and was like, okay, things are a bit crazy right now. There's a lot going on. Things are looking a lot different. But once it all blows over a little bit, then we'll kind of come back a little bit more. But then we saw the shift in you, and like it was needed. The time away was definitely working or like helping. So I think once we saw that kind of shift, and like just your whole self was just like released. I think that was when I was kind of like, okay, yeah, no, this is like, sure, it seemed abrupt or not abrupt, but it seemed sudden, but I think yeah, it's definitely for the best. And retiring, a lot of my friends are like, oh, your dad retired, didn't he? I was like, retired from the fire hall. He's working so much still. He's just a different avenue. So I think the word retirement, I was like, what the heck, you're retiring? But then it really clicked that it was just from this era of your life, and you're taking that and making something new from it that will better suit you.
Because I was in my late 40s, so it's, that's pretty young to retire, right? So
Yeah.
They retired from
Everyone I
fireside.
everyone I tell that you're retired, they always, I could see it in their face. They always picture you to be, like, if they don't know you, they always picture you to be 20, 30 years older.
Yeah.
But then when I say, yeah, he's 47, right now my dad's 50 and he's retired. They're all like, what do you mean?
Win the lottery?
Yeah.
How about you, Cal?
Yeah. So for me, I think I don't know that I was shocked per se. I mean, I think it came a phone call to me at work that was, you were just then, boom, I'm taking a leave. This is what's happening. I guess in that moment, maybe I felt a little bit shocked and like, holy crap, what the hell? But also I know the background of things that had been happening, and there've been, over the last few years prior to that, there'd been times where we'd had conversations where I think you were kind of sounding like maybe there was going to be a change in your future, but not really knowing what that looked like, or if you were able to really articulate it, I guess, maybe, of how you were feeling, because we obviously were just learning more about how you were feeling and what you were going through. Um, and when you did take the initial leave, I sort of thought it would be a short-term thing in the moment until, yeah, the days went on and the weeks went on and the months went on, and realizing just how much there was there that needed to be resolved, deep-rooted, burnout that you were going through, and I felt a guilt in the way of not recognizing it before to be able to support you, but at the same time, it kind of, I think, also shows um, I don't know, we kind of tried to shelter our kids, if that's, I don't know if it's the right word, but like from what was the stressors that were going on in your world. And that was always my role from the time we don't talk to dad for a little bit, let him go have his moments when he goes, we're just little in the trailer, and to always just sort of shouldering that to allow you to have the time you needed, whatever that looked like, but not really delving deep into what that was. And then as you took some time, and then your, like Monica said, your release of kind of coming back to the person that you wanted to be and knew you could be, and were able to be, showed that it was going to be the right move for you to leave. So, still shocking in some ways, to have a, retired person in the house, but at the same time, for all the right reasons. In the end, it was a struggle. You did the work, though. You put the time in, and look at you now.
I love that. Thank you. I think it's so important for people listening to, if you're going through burnout or trauma, you got to put the hard work in, unfortunately, right? And I feel I put the hard work in. I kind of, like you said before, I was all fully involved in learning the fire service, and then I was fully involved of learning how to maneuver through burnout. What would be some of the things you noticed, biggest changes in myself, when I start to work on myself? Anything that come to you?
Um, I think we were always very good at communicating. Like we communicated a lot, but on a different level. I think you were more open than you had been in the 25 previous years of our marriage. That um, you really were able to recognize your feelings and articulate them in a different way, to what it was. If it was something little, but you felt anger, and I kind of realizing that you never really showed anger for those years was a huge realization for yourself, but also for me, because um, I'm the kind of spaz in the relationship. So to have you be so calm, and then being like coming out of your shell, and understanding that, anger is an okay emotion. It's things that we're releasing and thing. Um, yeah, it was enlightening, I guess, for you, but also for me to watch you go through those, and to feel in a different way, and to be so open to lots of different modalities of health, and uh, things that could help, trying every different things to see what worked for you, what resonated, what felt good, and like TRE and things like that that have been now a part of your life that are helping you, but also helping other people. You're still in that helping people world, whether it be TRE coaching, all these different things that you're doing, but with a newfound Arjuna.
Thank you. So, Bill and Monica, is there any tidbits you've seen through my burnout journey that have told you a lesson about workload, overwhelm, life balance? Is there anything that's kind of resonated with either of you, or is it still easy peasy and in that kind of realm of life for you right now?
I think a good lesson that I've definitely taken on is just not taking for granted how often you don't have to work. I know that sounds silly, but like a work-life balance is so important. If you have the means to, obviously, that's a very different thing. But like for myself, for years, when I was trying to travel, I would have multiple, like I had 4 or 5 jobs at one point. And I was like, wow, I'm so tired. And then I was like, no wonder. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing this for? And just recognizing in myself that, like, okay, this is too much. Where, like, look, be realistic, but where can I make this change? And then noticing the differences after you did those changes as well, of like, okay, I started a business. I started taking care of myself. I went to the gym. Like, I started cooking again. That was awesome. So my time off became like what I wanted to do instead of what I had to do. Um, and I think that's just a really important part of realizing, like, growing up is you're just gonna go to work for the rest of your life. Like, once you're out of high school and stuff, you're just working. And if you're not working, what are you doing? So you gotta figure that out and do what makes you happy. But I don't know if that makes any sense, but just finding that balance of like you're a real human, you need money, you need to work, you need to do all this stuff, but doing what makes you feel good in your time off is just as important as going to work.
Wise words. Yeah, and yes, living. If you're not living, what are you doing, right? So same kind of thing, right? How about you, B? Anything?
Yeah, put that on a t-shirt. It's a good little sentence there. I think for me, very similar to what Monica's saying, I'm trying to not take like work home with me. And so during busier times of work or more stressful periods, to when you're off the clock, you're home and you're trying not to let it stick with you. But also it is important to be able to like talk it out with your partner or your whatever. Definitely working on that. I'm not the greatest. As my fiance would say, she'd be the first one to say that I'm not the best at that, but I am working on it.
Yeah.
Because it's important to there's a fine line, I think, between leaving the stress at work and separating that from your home, but to be also it's still inside you, and so you still need to be able to address it. Because like you are very familiar with it, it'll eat away at you. Right?
Get it out, have that conversation, and then put that to bed, right? So, but if you don't get a chance to talk to anyone about that kind of stuff, it's like that's going to be kind of isolating, right? So it's nice to have a partner that you can dish it all out to, have them practice their listening skills, and then you can kind of go on with the rest of the night, have some fun, right? Watch a movie, play some games, whatever. Awesome. So, kind of switching gears, going back to kind of looking at the last 25 years in the fire service, is there anything that sticks out to you of being a proud moment or an achievement that you really, kind of resonates with you as a kid or a partner of a fire service member? Just to kind of like paint that picture of what it means to the family as well, right? So is there anything that kind of sticks out to you as a proud moment?
It's not a proud moment because it was a very sad moment, but I do remember Travis's funeral,
Mhm.
Travis Getty's,
Mhm.
and it was such a nice, like, community moment for us all to come together and remember such a great guy, that Billy and I grew up knowing him, and he was one of the OGs for us, so it was really nice just to see everybody there, and it filled the gym and more at the high school, and just seeing everyone come out and support, and that was really nice. I liked.
You ever seen a funeral in that kind of scale or that, with fire trucks and the honor guard and the pipes and the band? And have you ever seen
Not
anything
at
like that?
all.
Yeah.
No. Yeah,
It's a
that
different
was pretty.
experience, isn't it? Yeah. Cool. A B, anything?
Well, yeah, that was a tough one to follow because that was on my mind too. But I would say, like, you know how when motorcyclists pass each other, they stick out the hand below. Like, I feel like there's something like that with firefighters, and because you guys have your decal or the Salt Spring Island fire would be on our car, or your license plate would have that thing. And it just makes me think of, like, in the fire hall itself, there's a wall filled with different firefighter plates. And I mean, look behind you, all your shirts, and just that everyone feels like there is that family, whether even if you don't even know anyone in that department, there's that understanding, appreciation, respect between departments, and being part of that felt special. It felt cool.
Love that. Love that. How about you, Kath?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, there's so many moments of, well, feeling like the youngest people in the department, and also being, for you, being higher and higher ranked through it. So just the feeling of pride of you going through all of those stages and earning your spot, and the respect that you've gained at a very young age, and you still have today. Like, a firefighter came into my work to bring a present for you for the holidays and a card, and you haven't worked with him in years, and just still, like, I'm his comment was, I really miss the chief. I really wanted to see him. I'm not gonna have a chance for the next little bit, but he's always on my mind. And just the, you know, knowing what you have given and the respect that you've earned for all of the years of work. I mean, that's a proud, proud moment for me to have of you, that you've touched so many people's lives in many different ways. Whether it be, somebody just in town being like, "Hey, how's Chief doing?" Or, "Oh, I need to get his book," or I don't know, like, just different little things that are people think about you and as a name in the community in a positive way that you represented the firefighters and the department. So that's just something I hold.
Brotherhood, sisterhood is a very powerful thing in emergency services, right? And it's something that keeps a lot of us going through the tough days, right? So having that camaraderie, that brother sisterhood is pretty powerful.
The same way, Dad, that you were talking about Billy and I earlier, when people come up to you saying, "Oh, your kids are so well spoken," or whatever it was, but people come up to me and do that same exact thing about you. Or, like, I'll introduce myself to someone that I unfortunately don't recognize, some of the firefighters that are at the hall now, but someone will walk into my work and with the Salt Spring Fire Rescue shirt on, and I'll go and introduce myself, and they always know you, and they always know, like, "Oh, like, tell Cathy that I say hi too," and it's always such a nice, feeling to not only, like, for me to just go out of my way to introduce myself, because you have been out of the hall for so long now, or for a little while now, but I didn't have to do that, but I felt the need to, because I wanted to have that proud moment to be like, "You know this guy? This is my dad."
Awesome.
So, that's also pretty cool.
Love it.
Mhm.
Well, anyone who's listening right now, if you want to get to have a good conversation with your family, host a podcast. It's a pretty good way to have a good conversation. Love it. What's something you've always wanted to ask me over these years in the fire service? Is there anything that's been like, man, I've always wanted to ask Dad that question, but never have? I'll go to Kath.
Question for you would be, what was one thing, or what is something that really scared you being in the service? I know you talked about earlier about, calls that would have involved our kids, or, I know there's situations you went to that were people that you knew and whatnot, but, like, other than that kind of a thing, was there some kind of underlying fear that you had?
Well, honestly, I would say going to any sort of fire, rescue, medical call, I felt totally 100% at ease. I didn't have any stress there about that. That was the easy part of the job, which sounds maybe a little backwards to some that are listening, but that felt at ease. And I think that's due to because we get so much training on that. Um, I think where I had the most amount of kind of worry or what was the word you used? Not
Fear.
fear. Yeah, okay. Most amount of fear was probably around my own self. So self-confidence, not thinking I'm good enough, imposter syndrome. I would say that was my biggest fear is like as a person, I didn't always feel like I fit in the fire service because I was so young. And I was going to fire chief conferences when I was in my 30s. And I say this quite often when I do my workshops. Like I was looking around the room and every single person had no hair. And I actually dreamt that I wanted gray hair. And so I got that wish, I got gray hair, but I haven't gone bald yet. But I actually wish that I looked more like a senior citizen almost. I was like, and that was my fear of not fitting in, not being accepted. And now as you grow older and maturity and everything like that, I think it's so critical that you really don't give a crap what other people think of you. Just concentrate on yourself. That is the key to releasing that fear. So it might surprise you that it was nothing to do with fire rescue.
Yeah.
It was more about the fear of myself, which is even rude to say.
Thank you.
Yes. How about you, Monks?
This is a tricky one because I feel like over the years, with me having a bit of an interest in that kind of uh, not gory, but like I like what would happen if someone's arm fell off? Like, how do you fix that? I would love to listen to that story because I'm interested in it. I feel like we have kind of chatted a little bit about those scarier things. Um, so my question would more so, what would happen if I touched the red button on your radio?
Oh, good one.
That's a
Well, you
red
would,
never allowed to touch.
yes, that was the Mayday button, and that was the,
Forbidden fruit.
yeah, exactly. Well, you would have got some dispatchers getting on the air. You would have embarrassed your dad because he would have to go on the radio and say, "Oh, just don't worry, it's just my daughter pressing the button again. Sorry to interrupt you. There is no Mayday. There is no emergency. Please go back to doing what you're doing, the important job you're doing." So yeah, basically pressing that orange button sends a signal to dispatch saying that a firefighter's in trouble. So every firefighter has that on their radio. All they have to do is press that button and they don't even have to speak. It does open up the mic and it keeps it open so nobody can actually walk on that traffic. So it keeps it open and then you can say, I'm stuck in a corridor, I fell through the floor, and then that would get parlayed to the rest of the crews through that. So yeah, when you press it, and honestly, it happened at drill probably a couple times a month for sure. Somebody would just, when you get those big thick gloves on, it's very easy to press that button. So we actually got that call quite often. Just checking in, duty officer. Is there any emergency going on? And you just come back and say, nope, sorry. It was radio 67 and everything's fine. So it wouldn't have been the end of the world, but yeah.
Well,
Good
there we
question.
go. There we
Good
know.
question. Yes. Love it. How about you, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, not as fun of a question, but through this whole process, and you've looked back at, 25 years of a career in that field. What is like the one thing that you either regret the most or wish you handled differently that maybe would have helped in the process or maybe would have not contributed to your burnout and leave, if that makes sense?
Yep. It's actually an easy one because I've worked on that so much that it's myself. So I think that's where I failed as a person, as a leader, as a firefighter, as a fire chief, was taking care of myself. And I don't mean physically like going to the gym or anything like that. I mean, it's just like I worried about everyone else and not necessarily worried enough about my own wellness, my own well-being. And I talk about this once again with people all the time. It's like I had zero friends outside the fire service. Like, and all my friends were in the fire service. The barbecues, the picnics, all the fire hall activities. It was all firefighters that I talked to all the time. So I didn't have any hobbies. I stopped fishing. Like you probably remember early days that I loved fishing, right? I love photography, and those kind of things all went to the wayside because I didn't have time because I didn't make the time. I didn't have time because I was just thinking I had to work to the bone to prove myself, to do a good job, to serve the community. And those are all things that, yeah, I want to do, but I also want to do it with some balance, right? Like we talked about earlier. And I just didn't have any balance. So in hindsight, I would create, and like I've also said this, if I went back to the fire service operationally, I think I would be a much better leader than I was before, only because I'm taking care of myself better, so I can take care of others even better. So that whole life balance, self-leadership is what I call it. Just taking care of yourself so you can show up 100%. Because I honestly, in the last number of years, I was probably like at 20% capacity every day. 80% was already used up with other stuff that was going on in my mind and stress and overwhelm. And I was showing up with like 20% extra space for people. And as a leader, you want to be, very present with your people. And I put on a good mask. I think a lot of people that you would talk to probably had no clue that I was going through stress and burnout. I made the time for them, but it probably wasn't 100% present with those people as much as I could have been. So that life balance piece, I think, would be key.
I guess that's why you put your oxygen mask on first on the plane before you help others, right?
Sure
You
is.
gotta,
It sure is. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
protect and take care of yourself first.
Yeah. And it sounds a little backwards. And I think a lot of people, tend to want to take care of other people. And there's even the word servant leadership where you're serving other people. That's the leadership style. And that's my leadership style for sure. But I would balance that a little bit more with taking care of myself. I told other people to go see therapy and I didn't do it myself. I told other people to, do things that, have some time off, go on vacation, spend some time, turn your pager off. But I didn't do that myself. So sweet. Those are good questions. Thank you. So, Monica, is there a question that you wish I asked that I have not asked?
Ooh, I think we covered a lot of the good stuff. Yeah, I liked the timeline that we went through. I feel like it would give people listening a good idea of like children before I was even alive, like mom touched base on when she was pregnant still, and then yeah, like the timeline was pretty well said. I think now that you are retired from the hall fully and you are so like engulfed in what you're doing now, it's a pretty cool thing to see you thrive yet again in such a different aspect. Like you see the passion come through again, and you see like just how excited you said this, but you give everything that you do 100%. And yeah, it's pretty cool to see this next chapter start for you and your books to your podcast to TRE. Like I was one of the first TRE members for you, and that was cool to be there for that as well. Yeah, I think you nailed it. You asked all the right questions, and yeah, I feel like there's some good insight on what it's like to be the daughter of someone like you.
Well, that was the kind of the purpose, was to shed some light on that family aspect because a lot of the podcast conversations we have is all about the firefighter aspect and perspective of that. So I think a lot of listeners are going to really enjoy this episode of hearing the family side of it, right? So it's awesome. Thanks, Monkey. Monkey. Yes, that's my nickname. Monkey. How about you, B?
Yeah, I think we got to the good stuff, for sure. The timeline is established. It brought back a few memories and stuff that, I've always had, but weren't fresh on my mind when we started this call. And, it's really cool to talk about all of this together in this kind of setting where with the prompting questions, and there's lots of things that we've maybe discussed in passing or even not as the four of us, like you and I talked about this before, or Mom and I, or Monica and I, or, but to be able to have this experience and share all of these memories and us go feeding off of each other with, different perspectives. And I think this is, it's been really cool. Happy to be part of number 100. Congrats.
Thank you.
Very cool. And yeah, absolutely. Like you found your footing in a whole new field, in a similar field, but it's you're able to distance yourself from like environment and workplace that was, you know, taking a toll on you. But now you're still able to be a part of it, um, in a kind of peripheral setting, because you're passionate about fire, and that's always been something that's been a part of the house. Like just behind Monica, you can't see it, but our Christmas tree with we call it the fire tree. It's one single Christmas tree with, yeah, I don't know, 50 to 100 fire ornaments. We still put it up. It's not like that's a thrown in some box and put in a storage locker, right? That's still very much a part of our life. And I think it always will be. So I think that's pretty cool too.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Cathy.
Something that I maybe should have asked a little earlier, but we've been talking a lot about our side of the experience, being through the fire service with you. Is there any insight that you can give as the one that was in the fire service to what families can offer that person, or how they can be present for, in a way that either we were, or that not that we weren't, but that we didn't show up like, or that we could have been a little differently, or different things we did well, things that could have been gone better. I don't know, just trying to kind of finish the circle.
Yep. Great question. I think I would say this family that I have, it couldn't be more fortunate to have this family that I have, because all three of you were there for supporting, no judgment. I think I got the lucky straw, honestly. So
Emotions are good.
I don't know if I could have made it through this journey without you guys.
We love you.
I knew this was going to happen tonight. I
You
thought it was
lasted
going to happen
longer than I
earlier.
thought.
I thought it was going to happen earlier, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think this just demonstrates how powerful family is, right? And yeah, couldn't be more proud. So let me try to compose myself so I can answer your question. I think honestly, the amount of listening and just being there for me made the world a difference. And I think people who don't have that connection, that network, I think that's a struggle for a lot of people. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are doing this by themselves that have no support. So that's kind of the world of therapy and coaching, is why I want to fill that void. So I knew if I was a fire chief and I had a coach, I'm sure I would be in a totally different place right now, when I was actively chiefing. And so when I left, I was like, I want to fill that void, and I want to make a space where fire chiefs, particularly, because I really truly feel that they are in a bit of an isolation, that they have some support for those who don't have an amazing family like this. So that's kind of the void I want to fill. But I honestly think you guys did it all perfectly. I don't think it would have happened the same way if we didn't have that strong foundation from day one. If we just tried to, pick up the pieces when I was going through burnout, I think we would have struggled a little bit more. But we already had that super strong foundation that it really didn't. It was honestly kind of easy in one aspect, because I knew I had such a support network. And when I was writing the book, I was talking to different people, and one of those people was my lawyer, my employment lawyer, and basically said, you got an army next to you, walking side by side next to you. And when he said that, I was like, wow, that really hit hard. It's like, I don't just have my family, but I got firefighters, I got lawyers, I got, union people behind me. I got all these different folks that are walking side by side, my doctors, my healthcare providers, my therapists, list went on and on. So I think we did everything right, honestly. in that regard of preventing, not necessarily preventing burnout, but recognizing it early enough and doing something about it. Preventing it, we've talked about that before. I think there's a lot of things we could have done to prevent that. But I honestly, and I think a lot of firefighters and first responders in general are really good at hiding it until it's too late. And there's people out there that are looking, smiling, happy, and the next day they take their own lives. So it's such a hard thing to see in a lot of first responders. We're all very, very good at putting that mask on. So I don't know. Does that answer it?
No, that's good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. So for everyone who's listening right now, this was an amazing episode. Episode 100, which I'm, once again, pretty proud of that. Not a lot of podcasts make it to 100, and so it's kind of neat to celebrate it with my awesome family here. So hopefully everyone listening got some things, maybe even hopefully took some notes that you can take back to your own family, your own partners, or if you're just raising your kids now, maybe there's some ideas that you can instill and take a little bit of the George nugget into your own life. So any parting words from my amazing kids or my amazing wife?
Such a proud feeling.
I love it. Good way to finish it.
Proud feeling. Yeah,
Absolutely.
We love you.
I love you too.
Love
All right.
you.
Much love, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this great episode and help me celebrate 100th episode and share this with, somebody who might need this. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe it's a new firefighter in your family. Just share it with your network, as hopefully some of the stories will make an impact, a lasting impact on them. So until next time, stay well. All right. That's a wrap.
That was so fucking fun.
Thank you for tuning in to Beneath the Helmet. We hope that this podcast has provided you with valuable insights into the world of firefighters' health and wellness. Remember, caring for your physical, mental, and spiritual well-being is crucial to achieving optimal performance. Join us next time on Beneath the Helmet for more inspiring conversations. Until then, stay well.